War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. On this live stream is our post-game reaction to the College World Series with the Auburn Tigers in it versus the Ole Miss Rebels. Sadly, tonight we're going to be breaking down a loss. That is right. Your Auburn Tigers, the magic, maybe not run out completely, but at least for one night has run out against the Ole Miss Rebels, falling 1-5 in game one. Well, technically, I think it's game four officially of Omaha, but game one for us of the College World Series. May not be a fun one to talk about, may not be a lot of exciting things to discuss, but we obviously want to break it down, react to it, kind of talk about where we're at as an Auburn family and discuss that together. So as you come into the live stream, whether you are watching live or on the replay, we appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, however we can get you. Do a couple favors for us if you don't mind, especially if you're here on YouTube. Smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content, and also do that out on social media. If you're watching there on Twitter, Facebook, retweets, share it into Facebook groups, share it on your Facebook account, all that good stuff. But right now in the comments section is our check-in period. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international. Want to know who's here hanging out with us to discuss Auburn baseball and a loss to the Ole Miss Rebels. So that is what's on tap for tonight. And I don't want to sit here and just try to be a Pollyanna about everything, but I also don't want to be negative about everything at the same time. And I think that's part of the balance we need to strike when we're reacting to things like this. It was not fun. I think, this was one of the least fun Auburn baseball games that we have watched in quite some time. What has often been the case is we've watched Auburn's bats, even if they didn't get off to a completely hot start, slowly as they get into the second and the third round through their batting order, get going to support the defense, but also the pitching tonight. And that did not happen at all, which was partially in part due to Auburn's lack of efficiency, but also credit to Ole Miss and them being able to take down the Tigers again for the third time this season. Let's see who's here. Devin says War Eagle always. Very good. I'm glad you got that right, Devin. I wouldn't expect anything. People who say War Eagle anyways, I don't get that. War Eagle always is the way you want to go. Rob's making me laugh. I will laugh silently at your comments, sir. Let that just pass for people who want to view that in there. We'll get people riled up for other reasons tonight. Took way too many pitches for strikes. Philip, yeah, maybe that is the case, but the credit goes to the pitching staff, the pitching game plan for Ole Miss, and the pitcher, DeLucia. Pretty good. Absolutely phenomenal job. When you go 8 innings, 8 innings, 2/3 of an inning, that's really good. Pate says, hey, man, it happens. We were still alive, just in the elimination bracket, War Eagle. And so here is the tough part now. Auburn has to play, basically, if I understand this correctly and have it right in my head, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially Thursday. I think that's how that happens, but I could have that wrong. Maybe it's that's one too many games, but there's a lot of games that Auburn now has to play to move on. So you don't think we will make it out of the losers bracket? If you're asking me, I don't know. I've seen this Auburn team do things that they shouldn't have done before based on expectations, based on predictions, and time again, they walk away surprising people, surprising me. So I'm not going to count them out in any stretch of the imagination. I think on a night where Gonzo didn't really have his best stuff overall, especially early, it really didn't lend itself to an offense trying to find itself. I think, obviously, this ballpark plays a lot differently than most college ballparks. That's not saying that there's an advantage for one or the other, but obviously Auburn seemed to be affected a little bit more by that tonight. Yes, Pratt Tiger says it's a hard game for the Tigers. Corey's saying boo from Hoover. Good to see you, though. Was it me or we could not hit? No, it was not you. We could not hit tonight. We'll talk about some of the stats here in just a little bit. And yes, I agree with what was said here by Pate. You should be proud of this team no matter what happens in this game, what happens in the next game. But really, at this point, unless Auburn makes the championship series, you need to be thankful and treat every game like it's your last. You should already be doing that. But there is no more mistake game that you can have. You must play to win every single game now. That's just the way it goes. The biggest thing, and I feel like the monkey that is still on this Auburn program's back under Butch Thompson, is getting that win in Omaha. Now, this is only the second time they've been under Butch Thompson there, but they went last time, got beaten 2 straight games, and were out. And that is now looming large over their head. If they can get that monkey off their back in this next game against Stanford, I believe is who they're going to be playing, the sky's the limit. I think that's really weighing heavily on them right now. Paul says Ole Miss was ready and played their game all day. Now shake it off and get ready for Monday. Yes, I agree. It's time now that, the initial excitement, the craziness, the travel plans, that's all kind of settled now. Now they can just go back, rest, go work out some of the things that didn't work tonight in I'm sure, practice day tomorrow, just a run through, walk through day tomorrow, get the game plan ready, and really just focus on playing baseball as opposed to getting to Omaha and preparing for that first initial game. Let's see here at Lake Martin, much like for the 2 supers. Well, it was good luck for us last time, but unfortunately it wasn't tonight, Linda. So you might have to change locations. Corey says, I have to say, sometimes you have to get smacked in the mouth to wake up. And that could be absolutely the case. What needs to happen here? I will say, I did not like what I saw tonight out of the Tigers, but that's not me saying that they didn't try. The effort, 100% there. You look no further than Brody Moore. You look no further than Mike Bello out in left field, throwing their bodies everywhere. I mean, there were other people who dove for balls, running, dives for. The effort was there. It really was. Let's see here. Ole Miss fans are terrible. Hard to believe some of the things they're saying on Twitter. Well, Linda, I also will tell you that is the nature of Twitter, and that's what people do, is they hide behind accounts and say things that they would never say in public. So it's not all Ole Miss fans, but the worst of them feel like they have a platform, so they do that. So there you go. It is an interesting contrast where we spent a super regional with Oregon State fans where there seemed to be a lot of mutual respect. And here we are again, back in the SEC, and things kind of change, don't they? Who will pitch against Stanford? Great question. I would suspect that Trace Bright is going to be on the mound going forward. You don't move Gonzo into the leadoff guy without Trace being there. So I think Trace is probably going to get the nod and has a short leash. Timothy says, wish Skipper had started. Yeah, you say that to start off with, Timothy, but the thing you forget is that he is a reliever. And just because you start the game doesn't mean that that's what's going to be the most successful for you as a pitcher, the type of pitcher that he is. Yeah, I mean, that you could try it, but I prefer to utilize him in the positions that he's used to coming in. Use the starters as the starters, use the relievers as the relievers. And in that light, if you need to bring him in sooner, bring him in sooner. I think Gonzo, as bad as he was having at times tonight, there were some moments where I thought he was going to pull it together, and it just never clicked. And to Ole Miss's credit, some timely hits on their part as well. Sullivan, thank you for clarifying. We play Stanford next, loser of Arkansas, Ole Miss, and then the winner of that game twice to make the final. So I was correct. So Stanford on Monday, Tuesday, the loser of Arkansas and Ole Miss, and then we could potentially play 2 games after that. So it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It has to be it has to be that way for us to continue. So saddle up, folks. Next week is going to get crazy if these Tigers get it together. Good to see you, Kevin. Thanks. We will win 6 games. Well, you better hope we do from this point forward. That win didn't help. That was something that was interesting tonight, Sullivan. they were talking a lot, not just in this matchup, but in the Arkansas and Stanford matchup, how the wind was playing a factor. And you went from one day yesterday where it was hot and humid and stagnant to today where it was hot, but there was a lot of gusts, not, I don't want to call it gusts, but wind factoring into the play of today. A lot of the times balls were being knocked down, not just for Auburn, but for Ole Miss too. It just seemed like they kept falling in front of Auburn a lot more than they did Ole Miss tonight. Credit goes to the pitcher for not putting himself in a position where those opportunities came. Gonzo did a little bit differently there. We might have to play Thursday. It depends on how the other games go. Well, yes, that's true. Obviously for us that we play Thursday. If we have to play Thursday to continue on at this point, because we are a single elimination game. If I have all that correct in my head. Yes. Jeff, one of the things that I have been disappointed with in terms of production wise has been Rambush, and not in a way that I want to say that I can do better than him, because I can't. Obviously, I'd be playing or would have played college ball if I could have. But one of the things that I think this team, this offense is missing right now is Blake Rambush and Kason Howell in the back half of that lineup getting on base. It really is. It's what's lacking here. So when your other guys are not getting on the base, you got to have some of these other ones contribute a little bit more. And, you know, tonight was set up for Auburn to have the most success, being the home team. They got to bat last, and they couldn't take advantage of it tonight. Not a fun night. was preseason number 1, and it showed tonight. You know, I agree with you that Ole Miss was a really number 1, obviously, at the beginning of the year, was a really good team to start the year and showed that they were a really good team. I don't think that they showed that they were the number 1 team tonight. I think they showed they were one of the best. Part of the reason why they're here, and they're very hot right now. And a lot of people would say the hottest team at the College World Series at this moment. So that I would agree with more than that they're the number, that they still deserve to be the number 1 team. If they win the World Series, then hey, that shuts me up. I do think their pitcher was really the difference tonight, and that's really what it is. He just had one of his best games. Gonzo had probably on the lower end of one of his performances that he had. Devin bringing up Bello. Felt so bad for Bello. He looked really pissed when he caught that last fly ball. He got put through the ringer tonight. He did. Anybody else agree that home run ball was almost caught? I've watched several different angles of it. You look at one angle, doesn't look like he was as close as it appears. And you look at another one, it looks like it literally just got past his glove. I kind of been leaning towards a little bit farther than the last camera angle I saw it appears to be. But regardless, great effort, and made a play that you want to make at this level, or an attempt at making a play. Almost made a catch over there in the stands, and you hate it from the fact that he rammed himself into the wall. Also, that the fans were not in play. Some people were saying that they didn't lean into the field of play. I kind of think they did a little bit, but it's either here or there at this point. Let's see. Any idea what Foster is sick with? No, I have not heard otherwise what he's sick with. I think we all think one thing when we hear someone sick these days, but unfortunately, we will not know that. It could be any number of things. I know when I travel sometimes that my sinuses, your body just sometimes doesn't acclimate as well. And it could be that, especially with the intense heat and, that's going on out there right now. Could be that he just woke up not feeling great and tried to power through and really wasn't himself. It is concerning to see that happen. And when you change not only someone in the middle of the game, but the heart of your lineup, the number 2, 3, right there behind Sonny spot. Nothing against Farquhar. He came in and made 2 great plays immediately to get us out of an inning. But it changes the dynamic of how the game is played from then forward. And fortunately, didn't really seem to help, or it helped us defensively, but didn't seem to help us offensively with Farquhar in there. The beach ball should have been popped the first time they were on the field. So annoying. I got so more or less bored with how the game was going for Auburn. I didn't even notice the beach balls, to be honest with you, but I heard the commentators talking about them. That is part of the nature of the atmosphere that is out there at Omaha. So it kind of comes with the territory. But the wind, again, played a factor in more than one way tonight, blowing those out there. Is there a rule for fan interference? I believe, Linda, there is one. I'm not going to say I know that 100%. We think back to the Cubs game with the Cubs fan who literally took away an out from them winning a playoff game. And I think it was it kept them from going to the World Series. Bartman was his name. I think the rule is as long as the fan does not enter the field of play, meaning cross what we call the plane of that wall there, it is not considered fan interference because the player is entering into their space. You would just hate for that to happen because you would hope that there would be enough understanding, and I get those were kids down there especially, to understand, hey, let the guys make the play on it. They'll probably give you the ball if they make the play. Yes, if there's anybody who's going to bring the positive energy right now, it is Kevin. Kevin believes that we've got this thing, and I wish we all had his confidence. Why are we worried about playing 6 games we can't score? So Monday will probably be the end of us. Well, there's the other side of that coin, Jeff. Put a smile on your face, buddy. It'll be a lot more fun in life if you do that. But I get your point. Your point stands that if you can't score, it'll be gone at that point. It's just part of the process of reacting and speculating on things to kind of understand the nature of where we're at this point. Auburn has lost its advantage in terms of having an oops game. The oops game was tonight, and that's what's got to happen going forward. So tonight, really quickly, offensively, RBI, the only RBI tonight was Bobby Pierce with a nice shot that got us that first run. And had it not been Sonny DeShera on second, coming around after that hit, we might have scored maybe another run or two. I know the hits weren't that great after that point, but maybe somebody moves into position if it's not Sonny. I don't know. Let's see. Hits tonight. Only people that get hits are Farquhar, DeShera. So even with Farquhar coming in, he contributed defensively and offensively. So I don't know what you can ask more from a guy coming in there and trying to figure things out, get something going for the team. DeShera got the hit, Bobby Pierce got a hit, and Brody Moore got a hit. Got to have some production from Howell. Got to have some production from Rambush. Got to have some production from Brooks Carlson. Just got to have a little bit more production from everybody. And even with Gonzalez tonight, 7 hits for him on 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs. I won't call it the worst outing for him, but definitely not a good outing for him whatsoever. Carson, after coming in and initially giving up a run, kind of locked it down. And the great thing is tonight, Carson Skipper came in and kind of kept everything under control and saved the rest of the bullpen. What that means, though, is technically he might not be available for Monday, but with a day's worth of rest, you just never know. So that combination of him and Berkey could be available come Monday. We'll just have to wait and see. Rhodes, 0 margin for error at this point. Obvious, but true. And you know what? The Tigers have had their backs against the wall the entire season in terms of expectations, and they continued to shine even with that. So maybe that is what pushes them forward into this thing. One of the things, I'll go back to what Jeff was saying earlier, kind of being a little, I'm not trying to pick on you, Jeff, but pessimistic about the scoring. This is the first time in several games that they haven't shown you that they can score more than one run, and they've showed you all season that they can score. So this, to me, feels like a one-off. The question now becomes, I believe the offense will get going better, but will the pitching be able to hold up? If it's Trace on Monday, got to have one of your best outings. And if it's Mason, you got to keep that energy after that point. I doubt it. It would probably be Gonzalez. Then you'd probably throw Trace out there again, and maybe Gonzalez again if he feels like he's rested enough, or maybe throw Mason out there. Got to have solid pitching the rest of the way, especially from the starters. The bullpen has stepped it up in postseason. Starters got to help them out. Our approaches at the plate were not great. Looked like we had a lot of nerves. There's probably a little bit of that there, Devin. But I don't want us to lose the fact. I don't want us to be like the Ole Miss fans. Their pitcher, outstanding tonight. Let me run over there real quick and look at him. DeLucia, 7.2 innings pitched. Only gave up 4 hits on the night, 1 run, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. Don't miss that. That was an incredible performance by him. I need to see our 19-run game like at our regionals. I'll hold on to that energy. Well, Devin, we would need someone like Southeast Louisiana. Or actually, I would do that to a lot of people. So listen, the question and the fear became from a lot of Auburn fans, when does that run out? You know, if we score all these runs, are we eventually going to have a game like we just saw? Maybe so, but I think with some time to kind of refocus ourselves with a day tomorrow, things might look up a little bit better. If you had a player for the game, I know it's hard to do so. Who would you give it to? I know that's kind of oxymoronic to give it in a loss, but I'd love to hear from you all what you think. If there's a player that kind of earned notice tonight, who would you give that to? I think you got a couple of candidates, maybe Carson Skipper, Mike Bello, Brody Moore at times tonight. I think Bobby Pierce, because of the run he scored, even Sonny, I think gets a little bit of a nod as well. So a couple of options there, but if you had a player for the game, let me know in the comment section below. Real quick, let me go ahead and give you guys a little rundown of what to expect. Monday, we'll be going live again right after the game. I will set the time for probably much later than the game will end. Like tonight, we set it for 11, but we obviously go live pretty much right after it happens. So be looking for that. That is what our schedule will be going forward. Kevin says Carson Skipper would be his player of the game. Great choice. Their pitcher was fantastic. I feel like I've seen more aggressive at bats, but maybe that was against less talented pitchers. Their pitcher for Oregon State was one of the best, if not the best in the nation, and they had much better at bats. So who knows? Everybody matches up with each individual batter or hitter or pitcher differently. So we'll just have to wait and see. Mike Bello and Brody. Honestly, I'm going to give it to Garrett. Honestly, I'm going to agree with you, Devin. I think Garrett being thrust in there very quickly into the game, coming in and providing defense and offense in terms of getting on base and getting the hit. That's all you can really ask for when your number is called. Contribute. Don't be a liability. And he was not a liability. It's going to be a bummer if another Mississippi team wins the championship again. They need to share that trophy. Yeah, I guess so. But we got to let the Mississippis have something, right? Obviously, we want the trophy, but let's let them, they got to have something sometime. It'd be funny to watch it happen back to back, and they get super excited about it, and then football season would hit, and they'd be like, Skipper was solid in relief. Pierce went all out defensively. Did he have more than one of those plays? I thought, or you may be thinking of Mike Bello, but maybe Pierce did as well. I would agree with what Devin said earlier. Now that I've kind of thought about it, Farquhar would be my player of the game. Context of the situation, everything. I think she brought up some great points there that Farquhar should be your player of the game. But several candidates tonight. Carson, I think, is a very close with that. Mike Bello, a lot of different ones. They got Sharks and Cowbells. Well, they keep playing like this, they'll both have trophies too. So congrats to Ole Miss on the night. 5 runs on 11 hits for them with 1 error. Auburn only gets 1 run on only 4 hits with 1 error, and only 3 left on base for Auburn. So here's when you want to kind of look at that. Look at the score sheet tonight. Ole Miss's offense was on fire. Their pitching was on fire, and they still left a ton on base. So Auburn's defense played a factor into that, in my opinion, based off just looking at that stat line. When you look at Auburn's offense wasn't there, the pitching wasn't there to start with. It got better, but they didn't even leave any on base because they weren't even getting that many on base as well. So really, with the pitching not being as great as it was, I kind of lean a little bit more at the end of this game to the offense kind of taking some responsibility for what was going on tonight. Did I see the video of Dylan Cardwell and Derek Hall wishing the team good luck? Love to see that kind of. It's great. It's great to see the synergy across sports. I would have loved it if they had gotten like SUNY in there too, to get some of that energy going in there to support them as well. But hey, got to have some good vibes at some point, and hopefully that'll those boys, if they didn't see that already, will see that message and will fire them up to say, okay, we need to show up for this game and do a little bit better. Auburn versus Stanford. I want to do a little bit of quick discussion about that. Before we do that, though, keep your comments and questions coming. Things I want to remind you of. If you haven't, please do check out the links in the description for ways you can help support our content. One of those being subscribing here, along with hitting that notification bell. But check out some of the links, such as becoming a channel member here by hitting that join button for $1 a month. It does help keep the lights on here, so to speak. And speaking of lights, I broke one of the lights that I use. That's why the setup looks a little bit different tonight, and we'll be ordering a new one. So literally keeping the lights on here. There's also the Booster Club, where you can sign up for $1 a month and get some perks for yourself. All the links are in the description, so check that out. All right. We are playing Stanford. How does everyone feel about that game based on what you saw from Stanford, who got walloped by Arkansas? I'm not so much shocked that Stanford got walloped, even though I will tell you, when Clint and I did our prediction show of what was going to happen, I've been completely wrong. Every team I said was going to win their first game lost. So basically, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think that obviously you've got two teams that struggled to get their offensive going. And really, the question will be, will that story carry over for both of these teams or one of these teams? And who can get that offense going and support their pitching a little bit more, their defense a little more, will be the story of the game. Based on how they played today, I don't feel too bad about it. So that's some encouraging things to take away from it. You got another team that's not looking too hot themselves in terms of performance-wise. So that can be an encouraging sign going forward. I would love to see Trace Bright get the start and have his best outing of the entire year on the Monday game. And I'd love for us to be sitting here on Monday night talking about Trace Bright when the chips are down for Auburn. Can't lose from this point forward. He shows up and gets the job done. Would love to see that happen and be a cool story for him. Love to see the offense get going as well. So we defeated one Pac-12 power. Why can't we do it again? And let's go ahead and eliminate Stanford from the competition here in Omaha. Brody just got here. We're about done, Brody, but he says he's not mad because we're still in competition. And that's the great thing about the College World Series. It is not a single elimination game, although it can very quickly become that, as we just found out, because we are now in single elimination territory. So I hope next time we are all talking and sitting down together, it will be a lot more fun and a lot more exciting, because we had a lot of fun with those post-game shows in Corvallis and the Super Regional, and hopefully we will be doing that again soon. So make sure you're here Monday night right after the game. Subscribe, hit that like button if you enjoy this type of content. Thank you all for tuning in, whether it was live or on the replay. Hope to see you around the channel this week, and especially on Monday night.